week on Storyboard, we are in conversation with Atit Mehta, Head of Marketing at Think and Learn Private Limited, Byju's the learning app, who is joining us from Doha and speaking about their World Cup association, roping in Lionel Messi and being a part of the most scrutinized World Cup in history. We have Vivek Gambhir, CEO of boAt's, sharing what lies ahead for the brand, winning growth strategies and marketing plans. And on the sidelines of WPP Commerce, we caught up with CVL Srinivas, country manager WPP India, spoke to him about the future of commerce and much more. And finally, we get you the sneak peek into CNBC-TV18's marquee nights with Yannick Bollore, Chairman Vivendi and Chairman and CEO Ours Group. Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. The FIFA World Cup 2022 kicked off last weekend and many of us football fans have exciting weeks of football lined up for us ahead. While Indian team might not be playing at the World Cup, but we have an Indian brand as one of the global sponsors for the FIFA World Cup happening in Qatar for the first time, which is Byju's. I'm catching up with Atit Mehta, Head of Marketing at Think and Learn Private Limited, Byju's the learning app, who is joining us straight from Qatar about their World Cup association, roping in Lionel Messi, one of the world's highest paid footballers, and then facing a backlash for signing him soon after laying off 2,500 employees. Atit, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Thank you very much for having me.
Atit, first up, how is it in Doha? What does it feel like watching the World Cup live?
No, it's quite an carnivalish type of a feeling. The entire city has been lit up. One should drive around post 5:36, post sunset, and you will feel like every part of the city is lit up. Every part of the city has that excitement of the FIFA World Cup. Overall, good. Only thing is that the stadiums are a bit far off. So one needs to plan properly in terms of time taken to reach the stadium. But once you go over there, all the effort one has taken to reach there is minimized, and it's a feeling which money can't buy.
To see the logo, the brand logo on the ground, how does it feel as the brand custodian of Byju's?
I remember the first match which I attended, I was not watching the match. I was only looking out that wherein the brand is coming, recording every piece of it, recording from every angle. So see, as marketeers and as business people, you will always look out for your brand, and over here the brand is there. So the feeling is good. A lot of people have reached out. A lot of people have spoken to us in terms of that we saw you on television. So yeah, the effort which has gone in over the last 6-7 months is finally coming to light.
And then, Atit, earlier, you also roped in Messi, Byju's first World Cup and Messi's last. Tell us about your strategy and thought behind roping in Messi. How did that happen and what will he bring to the table?
The primary reason for us to sign up with FIFA was markets outside India. We have a reasonable operations and businesses going in LATAM, especially Mexico, Argentina, and some of the other countries in LATAM, where football is the biggest thing. Messi is the biggest icon ever seen by LATAM, outside Maradona and Pele in our current times. So the reason of signing Messi was primarily to put the brand at the forefront, especially in LATAM. Yeah. We signed him in start of the financial year in March, April, while we announced it right now, just before the World Cup, as we finished our communication and shoot and everything else. So the larger reason of having somebody like Messi on board is for our international markets. And the advertising campaign which we created is already getting played out in those markets. We are seeing initial traction where people are at least discovering the brand. People are relating to the brand. You have Messi as a brand ambassador. You have on-ground branding happening during the FIFA World Cup. So if you just add up all these things, you are now creating a sort of a presence in the consumer's mind. And that was the objective. So far, so good. And it's growing every day.
Okay, so Byju's also faced backlash for signing in Messi, one of the world's highest paid footballers, as a brand ambassador soon after laying off 2,500 of your employees. What do you have to say on that? And do you feel this whole announcement was ill-timed?
It was just a coincidence that we went into some amount of right sizing. And and the Messi announcement came, but it was not something one had planned for. These are two independent pieces. While Messi, as I said, was primarily signed for international markets, the spillover in India is humongous, and that's good for all of us. While the right sizing exercise was primarily for India.
Okay, do you see the impact of this backlash on the objective that you set out to achieve by roping in Messi in the first place?
No, so there was enough and more chatter on social media platform. But yeah, so see, people who understand the strategic reasons why we do what we do, all of us, what we do, understands the larger piece. There are some section of the social media who started talking about that these guys have gone and signed Messi, and on the same side they are right sizing X amount of people. But at an overall level, no major impact. It's unfortunate that we had to go through this exercise because of all the reasons we know of. But these are independent initiatives. Brand initiative is for international markets, and we are true to that objective. And the overall strategy, the overall planning and overall approach with FIFA as well as Messi, at least in LATAM, is working wonderfully well for us.
Now, Atit, Qatar 2022 is arguably the most scrutinized World Cup in the history. So from an official sponsor standpoint, what is your opinion on this?
No, so scrutiny is one part. So see, everybody needs to follow the law of the land. And the World Cup is happening in this part of the world. And one needs to follow the rule which is laid out by the government. But as far as the restrictions are concerned, yes, it's quite a restrictive process from a sponsor perspective or even from a fan perspective. But if you follow the instruction, if you do things on time, it's a very, very well-planned system. You will not face any issues, any problems. But if one ends up doing any sponsor-based activity 4 days before the start of the World Cup, it will not be possible.
And then you must have also met other sponsors. What do they feel, especially about the restrictions and stuff? And what happened with Budweiser? What are they saying?
Yeah, so I haven't met the Budweiser guys, but yeah, all the other sponsors, whether it's Visa, whether it is Coke, whether it is Hyundai, Kia, all of them are pretty happy. Now, the advantage, which every brand has its own advantage. Now, for example, Hyundai has the opportunity of showcasing its future cars. So they might be doing that. Yeah. Coke has set up a nice setup, at least in some of the stadiums, where one can go and, experience the Coke zone, so on and so forth. So every brand has the opportunity to do it. And I've spoken to 2 or 3 co-sponsors, and all of them are equally happy, equally tense that hope there are no changes coming in from the business, because any change to be implemented right now will take a lot of time.
And then finally, the most important question, which team are you rooting for?
So we are all rooting for Argentina. So there are good chances that if the team does not top the group, they will be second and they will get into the round of 16. So fingers crossed.
Atit, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on the show today and sharing your insights with us.
Thanks, Shabani. Thank you very much.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Vivek Gambhir, CEO of boAt, and we are also catching up with CVL Srinivas, Country Manager, WPP India, and speaking to him about the future of commerce.
Hey Rahul, what's up?
Hey, kicked about our first date?
Of course.
Benefits up to rupees 30,000 only at the Citroën C3 Carnival. Book today.
Well, I enjoy every milk and products because that is the business I am in from last 37 years. What I enjoy most is the ice cream because I was instrumental in launching the ice cream by the cooperative sector first time in the country.
I was only 13 and at my first foreign trip, all my family members, including my uncles, my aunts, everyone was there at the airport to see me off. Other guys are also there and they are looking at all these things happening. I was actually so embarrassed. मेरे family members ज़्यादा थे team members से.
Watch the highlights of the special session with Sachin Tendulkar and Brian Lara at HTLS 2022 at this time on CNN News 18.
Welcome back. boAt is one of most exciting startups that has emerged in the recent years. But how did boAt go from being a challenger brand to one of the leading consumer tech companies in India? We find out more about the brand's journey from Vivek Gambhir, CEO of boAt. In an interview with Dilshad Irani, he also shares what lies ahead for the brand, winning growth strategies and marketing plans.
It's been an absolutely exciting time for startups and new emerging brands in India. Lots of highs, lots of lows. So let me begin by asking you a little bit about, what's your report card for this past year been like?
For us, I think it's been an incredible journey thus far. And over the last few months or so, we've continued to really strengthen our business and maintain our strong growth momentum. We have crossed over 3,000 crores in revenue. We are now the number 2 brand globally in the earwear category and the number 5 brand globally in the wearables category. And so the other brands are the likes of Apple, Samsung, and a couple of the Chinese players. So it's a matter of great pride that a brand that was born in India in such a short amount of time has earned so much brand love to be now amongst the biggest brands in the world.
Do you still consider boAt a challenger brand then? Has it shed its challenger brand mindset?
Absolutely not. We recognize, look, when boAt started, there were a couple of hundred brands that had started in India at the same time. And we were competing against players who were much, much larger than us. And even today, some of our competitors are very large global companies that are significantly, bigger than us. And so while it is a matter of pride that an Indian brand has managed to achieve leadership position where our market share today in personal audio is almost 4 times more than the number 2 player. In spite of that, I think, I believe that the future is even more exciting. So being paranoid, being humble, being agile, and being obsessed with consumers, that's what really keeps on getting us going.
You joined boAt in 2021, early 2021, and you came from well-established legacy companies like Bain and then Godrej, where you were CEO. So tell me, what were some of the goals that you set, some personal goals that you set for yourself at boAt, and how far along are you in terms of achieving them?
My mandate with Aman and Samir, it was about adding muscle to the hustle, as we called it. There are some incredible qualities that has made boAt successful so far, but we also know that what got us here will not get us in the future. So being able to preserve the legacy, preserve the values, and shape the culture, enter new categories, think of bigger dreams, scaling up the company, I think essentially that's been my mission. But the idea is to work very closely with both the co-founders who are still very involved in the business. And I think what we keep on saying is there a way for 1 + 1 + 1 to really make this a much, much more bigger entity? We call ourselves the 3 idiots, and so, but the idea is to work together with them very closely to really now make boAt a truly admired global company.
So the company recently announced that it was withdrawing its IPO plans, and you raised about $60 million recently. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where will these new funds go? What will it go towards sort of building for boAt? And will it be a premiumization strategy that you're looking at, global expansion? Let's get a little bit into that.
3 main areas where we will deploy the funds. The first area is to really make smartwatches or wearables as our next core. We entered this category relatively late, about 18 months ago. Within a very short amount of time, some of the best-selling watches are boAt watches. And so we want to deploy this money to essentially, create a health and wellness ecosystem. A lot of the game that's being played today is largely a hardware game in watches. Our belief is that if you truly want to make watches relevant, useful, and really make it part of consumers' lifestyles, we really now need to start investing in creating a platform that allows us to offer much more advanced features, better analytics, and much more reliability. The game will change from hardware to much more of a software play. And we are one of the very few companies in the world which actually owns our entire end-to-end platform. So being able to own the platform and driving it to be able to offer these features, that's going to be the first area of focus. The second is to continue investing in the audio, personal audio category. While we are clear market leaders there, there are significant opportunities that we are seeing to be able to build much more stronger R&D and also start playing in the premium category, as you were mentioning. And then the third priority for investment really is around making in India. And for us, it's not about just make in India, but it's about make in India and also engineer and design in India as well. This year, almost 40% of our manufacturing volume will be produced locally in India. This was almost 0% last year. So that's the big shift we are making to be able to really be a company that's viewed for very strong tech leadership across the world.
Vivek, it was lovely chatting with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Moving on, WPP recently hosted its WPP Commerce event in Mumbai after a gap of 3 years. The event involved workshops, sessions, and one-on-one engagement with key industry leaders to showcase WPP's holistic e-commerce offering. I caught up with CVL Srinivas, country manager, WPP India, on the sidelines of this event and spoke to him about the future of commerce and much more. Let's hear this conversation. CVL, welcome to Storyboard again. It's so good to catch up with you in person after a long time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Shivani.
I know one of the biggest concerns for brands and organizations these days is how to, connect that whole process from discovery to try on to the actual purchase. So how is WPP making that happen?
So firstly, let me tell you a bit about WPP Commerce. We have a bunch of workshops in all the emerging areas around e-com. We're talking about, some new stuff around customer experience. We're talking about analytics and predictive analytics and how that's coming into e-com. We're talking about ONDC, of course, since we're here in India, and other such topics. We also have an experience zone that we're setting up. And in all, we're expecting close to 300 people today, lots of our clients, partners, and of course, people from across WPP. So that's as far as the event is concerned. To address the second part of your question, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, e-com has obviously been on steroids because of the pandemic and digital penetration in the country and so on. In WPP in India, over the years, we have been building expertise in e-com, but I would say pre-pandemic, it was more focused on the tech side of e-com. We have a massive global COE in Noida, near Delhi, where we have a lot of tech experts sitting and building apps and websites for some of the biggest clients globally. We run that under Wunderman Thompson Commerce, and that existed pretty much pre-pandemic, and of course that scaled up quite a bit. But what we've done in the last, I would say 2-3 years is invested in all the other bits of e-com, be it customer experience, be it on the content side. Of course, Group M is doing a terrific job on the media side, and also getting in a lot of analytics, measurement, etc. So today, actually, if you look at it as WPP in India, we have an end-to-end e-com service, pretty much offering everything from advisory to measurement, by getting people across our different agencies to kind of work together for clients. And in the last few years, again, we've seen quite a few assignments come our way by taking this approach of just getting the best of WPP together.
And what are the kind of solutions that clients are looking for?
How do you actually get technology that kind of works? Today, we're kind of moving towards real-time commerce, right? Today, we're moving towards social commerce. We're moving towards voice search. We're moving towards a lot of visual kind of stimuli on e-com platforms. So how do you kind of keep pace and ensure that you're able to kind of deliver that? in obviously in a very optimized kind of a way. And then there's this whole bit about the experience or the front end of e-com, what you and I kind of interact with. So how do you kind of ensure that you build a seamless experience, and especially in a market like India, across online and offline, and therefore kind of deliver that. And then, like I spoke about analytics and especially predictive analytics, that was a big learning through the pandemic, right? Supply chains got disrupted, demand in many categories suddenly peaked and then kind of fell. All kinds of things happened. So how do you get a lot more of analytics and prediction into your e-com strategy? Is of course the other piece. So I think that's what I think we're striving to deliver, and that's what really clients are asking for.
Okay, and what according to WPP is going to be the future of commerce in the country?
Well, again, if you look at India, I think things are taking a very interesting turn, especially with the launch of ONDC. We have, I think, with one action, pretty much democratized e-commerce today, making it possible for suppliers, buyers to kind of get on without any kind of entry barrier. So I think that's a very, very interesting development for us. Then this whole thing around the omni-channel kind of experience and the omni-channel kind of a strategy that you need to have, because while we get very carried away with technology and e-commerce and all of that, but in a market like India, there's still so much that happens through traditional trade. So how do you actually ensure that you're joining the dots and the consumers are getting that omni-channel experience? And I think that is going to continue to be very important here. Then I would look at all the interesting formats that are emerging. And again, some of them I think will be more popular in India.
Any other trends which are specific to India market and very different from the global markets as far as commerce is concerned?
Hyper-local is another opportunity. Again, thanks to the pandemic, that was a learning, right? It wasn't so much to do with what's available kind of nationally, but kind of what's available in a particular pin code and how soon can you get it. Quick commerce, we're seeing quite a bit of action there. And yeah, but I think more than all of this, the way India has been on this whole path of digitization, starting with Aadhaar and then coming into UPI and now getting into ONDC, I think we're truly going to see a massive value unlock for the society at large. Just imagine anyone who can create a product or a service today has the right to kind of get on and trade and sell it and become a part of a supply network.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Shabani. Thanks for having me.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, a sneak peek into CNBC-TV18 Marquee Nights with Yannick Bollore, Chairman Vivendi and Chairman and CEO Ours Group. Welcome back. Yannick Bollore, Chairman Vivendi and Chairman and CEO Ours Group, was visiting India this week. In our special curated series that brings in fascinating and unplugged conversations, CNBC-TV18 Marquee Nights, Anuradha Sen Gupta caught up with Yannick and spoke to him about many things like Ours Group growth in India, must takeover of Twitter, the impact of negative macroeconomics and politics on business, and much more. Let's hear some excerpts.
Expectations of the Indian market, especially in the current context, would be very high. Is that fair to say, in terms of the growth that you expect from here?
In terms of growth, even if it's slightly slowing down, it's still a plus 15%, something like that. When you compare to what we see in the rest of the world, like Europe, in Europe, when we have a plus 2%, maybe a plus 3%, it's a record year. So, I mean, in terms of growth, India is no comparison with the rest of the Western world. So I still have huge expectations. I think we will continue to invest in India. Now we are 1,200 people. We are finalizing an acquisition that will make us being a group of 1,500 people, I would say, before spring. And I believe, in 5 years from now, we can be 5, maybe 10,000.
Of us has interests in China. And we saw how the pandemic has upended the way the world sees China and the global supply chains and how they're designed. And there's a lot of work and changes happening there. So do you think there's an opportunity for India that's, that's even bigger than what it always had because of its demographics and because of, the government that we have and the kind of dynamism that the political leadership is providing?
It's a great question. No, of course, China has had, I would say, a different strategy to manage the pandemic. I would say a more closed one, if I may say, more protective one. So it has slowed down the growth. Honestly, I think it's a good opportunity for India because in terms of services, in terms of talents, India is very strong. In terms of manufacturing as well, could be a great opportunity for India. So no, I believe India is a land of huge opportunities for all the Indian population, but also for the world and for the business, global business like the one we are operating in.
This is a story that has been consuming everybody who's interested in the media. Twitter. Elon Musk, real-time tweeting, is remaking Twitter in full public view. He's taken the company private for $44 billion, but he's doing everything in full public view. And he is saying that advertising revenues, which is Twitter's mainstay by far, is going to be a problem. So let's go for subscription revenue. So he's doing exactly the opposite of what Netflix is doing. Of course, they don't compare what Twitter offers and what Netflix does. But what do you make of this?
On Elon Musk himself, I remember when he launched, or when he acquired Tesla, all our clients on the traditional car manufacturers were telling me he will never succeed, his cars, their battery will burn. And when you see the results 10 years later, Tesla is the highest car manufacturer in market cap. And when Elon Musk announced that he will launch some rocket that will land back on Earth, everyone was laughing. And he did it. So that's why I wouldn't, bet against him.
Underestimate him and not patronize him.
Yeah. Then on Twitter, what's complex for us is what to tell to our clients. I mean, it's not about what I think about the blue certification for $8 a month or something like that. I mean, it's a different subject. In terms of the advertising, we need to make sure, we need to be responsible. What we need to be making sure of is that our clients are investing in a safe environment.
So are you advising Avas's brands to pause?
I mean, Twitter, it's not like Meta, or it's not like Google. Meta and Google are 2/3 of the digital investment. Twitter is even less than 1%.
Yeah.
Let's say 1%.
In India too. Yeah.
So it's not going to be a game changer for brands to pause. We are telling them that you need to make sure, and we need to make sure on your behalf, that you will be on a safe environment. So this is, I hope, the constructive discussion that we are having with Twitter teams now. It seems that they are changing rapidly, so I will be more safe to answer in 1 month, maybe 2 months, to see about. That is the main point for us is just to make sure that
everything's safe for your brand.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.